Imam al-Ghazali radiallahu anhu says that corruption is the source of our crises on this planet. This word fasad in Arabic, which can mean many different things, but essentially it means corruption. This is found in several places in the Quran. In fact, the angels in Surah Al-Baqarah, when they ask God about the wisdom of placing human beings on the earth, the question that they ask is, أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَنْ يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا? Will you place in the earth the one who sows corruption in the earth? وَيَسْفِكُ الدِّمَاء, and sheds blood, which is the worst form of corruption. And the angels, they want to understand. This is called su'al al-istifham, la su'al al-i'tirab. It's a question in order to understand, not a question to object. And so, in saying that, they're recognizing that the human being is a problematic creature. That this corruption is an aspect of the human species. So Imam al-Ghazali identified the areas of corruption that he felt were most significant, and the very first one was jahl, was ignorance itself. That human beings without knowledge do an immense amount of damage, or if their knowledge is corrupted, which is another type of ignorance. So for instance, he says, when knowledge moves towards worldly things and forgets otherworldly matters, then this creates a major crisis in the human being. The second thing that he identified as a source of corruption was hubb ad-dunya, the love of dunya. And by dunya in the Quran has to do with the life of this world. Because the human being's pursuits are basically what he calls qut, kiswa, and maskan. We need sustenance, we need garments to protect ourselves, and then we need basic living conditions. But he says the obsession with these things leads to the distraction in the world. So for instance, we lose ourselves. And this is something that he said, another phenomenon that emerges because of this corruption is the loss of our knowledge of our own selves, of our own hearts. We forget ourselves. And the reason why this is so dangerous is because we're on the doors of infinity according to our faith. We're being told that all of this short period that we're here in the world is in preparation for an infinite journey, a journey into infinity. And for that reason, the self has to be preoccupied with the infinite. In other words, what we do here should be in relation to what is coming. One of the great philosophers of Europe, Soren Kierkegaard, in a book he wrote called Sickness Unto Death, he says, the most hazardous thing, the most dangerous thing to lose oneself occurs quietly in the world. One can lose oneself without hardly noticing it. And then he says, if he loses anything else, an arm, a leg, $5, a wife, he'll notice it. But he can lose his self and not even notice it. إِنَّ الْخَاسِرِينَ الَّذِينَ خَسِرُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ. The real losers are the ones who've lost themselves. The ones that have lost themselves. Because they forget that the purpose of their life is to prepare for what's coming. And what's coming is infinity. And so this is a huge crisis that the human being finds him or herself in. And then we preoccupy ourselves with all of these different things, all of these different distractions, and we're living in the age of distractibility. Human beings are more distracted today than any time in our history. And we have more ways of distracting ourselves. And so if we lose ourselves, نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ, they forgot God, and so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused them to forget themselves. Because the only way that you will remember yourself is by remembering who created you. By remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you become aware of who you are. Without knowing that, you're lost and don't know who you are. Now, one of the major crises in our community is this crisis of knowledge. Because there's outward knowledges, there's inward knowledges, there's worldly knowledges, there's otherworldly knowledges. Our Quran talks about the people who know يَعْلَمُونَ ظَاهِرًا مِنَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَهُمْ عَنِ الْآخِرَةِ هُمْ غَافِلُونَ. Those people who know the outward of this world, and it's not for anything that is in the chapter on the Europeans, Rome, who are clearly in the hadith tradition referring not just to the Byzantines, but to Rome, the Europeans. The Quran says they know the outward knowledges of this world, but as for the other world, they're in heedlessness. And this is one of the things about, if you look at the Dajjalic phenomenon towards the latter days, the Dajjal is the antichristic element. In other words, if you look at the teaching of Jesus, the teaching of Jesus is largely about becoming detached from this world so that you can be in the world but not of it. The Dajjalic worldview is to invert that. You actually forget the other world. And so people now have become so preoccupied with this world that they've forgotten that there's another world. And this is a great tragedy. And so with this confusion about knowledge, with this confusion about the self, we find ourselves in a major crisis. And then on top of that, we have all of these permutations, these perversions that emerge, not just in our own community, these perversions of extremism. And extremism goes two ways. We have religious extremism, and then we have the extremism of lack of religion in our community. So the Muslims can go astray both ways. It's not just the extremism, the religious extremism, but also the extremism of the lack of religion and concern for religion. Even though we know that religion is the foundation of our cultures, it's the foundations of our civilizations. In fact, arguably, there is no civilization without religion. We've never had in human history a civilization that didn't emerge out of some sense of the sacred and didn't create some sense of hierarchy, from the Greek hieros arche, the rule of the sacred. And so part of the modern impulse now is to remove hierarchy, which means even removing and destroying the basis of a family, which is hierarchical by its nature. And this is one of the things that our Muslim communities have to be very careful about, because we're seeing the collapse of family in many places now, especially in Western Europe and America. There's a breakdown of family. And in the Muslim world, we still have strong families. We have family ties. We have the relationships of family, of nasab and musahara, of the lineage, and of intermarriage and these things. These are very important. If we lose these things, we lose everything. Because the foundation of a healthy society is the healthy family. They are the atoms that make up the aggregate of a society. And so without that, there's a huge crisis. So this is one of the things. And we have to understand, if we don't understand where these ideas are coming from that are now infiltrating our communities, if we don't understand the philosophical positions behind these ideas, we will be completely lost. So just as an example, in the West, there's a powerful philosophical force which does not believe that there are any essences to things. Now, some people can think this is a rarefied philosophical idea and something for ivory towers, but that actually, down on the ground, becomes extremely dangerous, because people, for instance, say that there is no essential self, there's no binaries, these are what they call social constructs. And so you have the idea, for instance, that the male or the female is a social construct. Gender is a construct. Biological sex is determined by whether you have X and Y or XX chromosomes. there is now a very powerful force working in the West to argue that gender is a social construct, that you behave like a male or a female based on your enculturation, that these are not based on anything that is essential to the human being. So this is a philosophical idea that's now having a huge impact on our culture. So in my state, you have now people coming into grade school classrooms and telling students that they don't have to be a male or a female if they don't want to. They can choose what they want to. This is actually happening right now. And you will see this increasingly affecting your societies. So the Muslims themselves has to understand where these ideas come from, and then they also have to have an understanding of why these things are wrong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran says, Subhanalladhi khalaqa al-azwaja kullaha. Glory be to the one who created everything in binaries. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the male and the female. Inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha. We created you from a male and a female. وَجَعَلَ مِنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا. And we made from yourselves mates, pairs. A zawj is an opposite. And this is why we understand marriage to be between a male and a female. These are essential to our religion. We can't alter this religion. لَا تُبَدِّلُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ. Do not change the blessing of Allah. Meaning this gift that He's given us, which is guidance. And so guidance is absolutely essential. We cannot survive without guidance as a human species. And this is where revelation becomes so important. You can have reason, but reason divorced from revelation leads to the gulag. It leads to the Holocaust. They have a problem. They see an alien group in their society that they feel is corrupting and corrosive. And so rationally, they determine we need to exterminate this. And then they set up means of doing that. This comes out of reason without revelation, because there's nothing to tell them that that's wrong. You can't ground morality without some sense of the divine. You can create laws, but those laws are simply the decisions of the people running those societies. And so when the Nazis were in power, everything they did was legal according to their laws. That was their argument at Nuremberg. But who's to say they were wrong? The only way that we can determine in truth that they were wrong is when we have something that transcends the human being, that tells the human being what is right and what is wrong.